So welcome to our webinar hosted by the American Public Human Services Association, or APHSA, in partnership with Currum by Meritive. Today's webinar topic is how Missouri has elevated its service delivery to help citizens grow to their fullest potential. Next slide, please. So my name is Adrian Saldana, and I'm an organizational effectiveness consultant at APHSA. I'd like a minute to share with everyone the work we do for and with our members. APHSA represents state, county, and city human services agencies from across the country. We're a bipartisan organization with a focus on building common ground and generating practical solutions that work for people and communities. Next slide. We aim to deliver to our members through three core channels: influencing modern approaches to sound policy, building capacity of public agencies through our conferences, technical expertise, publications, and consulting, and connecting leaders to accelerate learning and generate solutions. Our vision is one of thriving communities built on human potential. Next slide. So speaking of connecting members, I want to make sure that everybody knows about the last of our APHSA national conferences we're hosting in 2023. Our National Staff Development and Training Association, or NSDTA conference, will be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania from October 22nd to 25th. This QR code will take you to the conference website, where you can find the latest conference agenda and information on registration and hotels. It's just a couple housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded and will be circulated shortly to all registrants, along with a copy of the slide deck. During this webinar, we are requesting that you put your questions for our presenters in the Q&A panel rather than the typical Zoom chat. And now it's my pleasure to introduce one of our panel moderators, Marina Pascali, Product Management Leader at Currum by Meritive.
Thank you, Adrian, and welcome to everybody. We're delighted to share with you today how our partners in Missouri are helping citizens by elevating the approach to service delivery. I'm Marina Pascali, Product Manager Lead for Currum, and Currum has over 25 years of experience helping national, regional, and local governments across the globe transform the delivery of social services. Our experience has allowed us to develop technologies that empower caseworkers and help individuals and their families achieve better outcomes. We work with agencies in 12 different countries, supporting over 900 programs, and are very excited to share today the great work happening in Missouri. Joining us are Robert Nodell, Director of the Missouri Department of Social Services, and Kim Evans, Director with the Missouri Department of Social Services Family Support Division. Just a couple of highlights of our participants. Director Nodell is a native of Southeast Missouri and has led DSS since October 2021, first as acting director and recently appointed to full-time status in June of this year, so congratulations. His areas of focus have included improving workforce compensation and developing strategies to reduce vacancies and staff turnover. He has achieved historic pay increases for team members, flexible workplace innovations, and accelerated new technology projects to replace and upgrade antiquated systems. Robert's career has included lengthy service to the state, both on the staffs of the Missouri General Assembly and the governor in budgetary, policy, and leadership roles, focusing in areas such as healthcare, Medicaid, education, and rural development. Director Evans has worked for 22 years, holding various positions in field operations for Family Support Division before starting in the role of director in January 2020. Kim provides oversight for Missouri's income maintenance programs, child support unit, and the rehabilitative services for the blind. Streamlining processes with new technology and business process improvement to provide excellent customer service and create a great working environment are some of Kim's top priorities. So welcome to you both, and thank you for joining us today. Our moderator for this session is my colleague, Paula Hildebrand. She's the go-to-market director for Currum. And Paula has over 18 years experience with Currum Solutions, providing thought leadership, strategy, market direction, in addition to sales and management roles. And Paula has also led numerous services engagement for Currum implementations as project executive. So Paula, I hand it to you.
All right. Thank you, Marina. I can't tell you how excited I am to have Missouri participate in this webinar. I'm a native of Missouri living in the eastern part of the state, and their projects and their success are very near and dear to my heart, both for the constituents of Missouri and in addition to the fact that I'm a taxpayer. So I'm anxious to share their story. And let me begin with first, Missouri's been on a modernization journey for quite some time. Based on the pandemic, Missouri has also seen an increasing need, as many states have, to elevate their service delivery, to allow their citizens to have better access without going into a social services office. So for the Department of Social Services, this has meant focusing on how do we deliver to our citizens and help them, as the title of the webinar says, reach their fullest potential. So to start today's webinar, Director Nodell, would you please share your vision for how services are delivered and the challenges that stood in the way for delivering that vision?
Well, thank you. Thank you, Paula, and really appreciate the opportunity to be here today with a fellow Missourian. And I know Director Evans and I are both very excited, but, at the Missouri Department of Social Services, our mission is to empower Missourians to live safe, productive lives. And we have the state of Missouri has a population of over 6 million people. And our department, in one way or another, through our various programs, serves 2 million Missourians, over 2 million Missourians, and individuals. So 1 in 3 will interact with our department. So that creates an enormous customer service vision. But walking in the door and which coincided roughly with the time when Director Evans assumed leadership at Family Support Division. We were looking at an operation, and especially a customer service operation that had been underinvested in for decades. And as I walked through our offices across the state and met with our frontline team members, saw a lot of green screens out there and just antiquated legacy IT systems. And we all know those green screens. Those of us that are older were trained on those at one time or another. But in today's world, we're hiring new employees that see that as ancient history, and it should be, but it was not here at the department. We have an extensive brick and mortar service delivery model across the state that's based on a 1970s or a 1980s customer service model that really doesn't meet the needs of consumers and the citizens that we serve today.
As we all know, it's very, very hard to get IT investment from a state legislature. That's about the last thing that they want to invest in. They would prefer to have roads and bridges and infrastructure that they can point to their constituents. So can you please talk about the perfect storm in Missouri and what enabled you to be able to get the necessary funding from our legislature?
Well, we did. We did encounter at least what I consider to be a perfect storm in our state with the COVID-19 pandemic and all of the challenges that it brought about. We saw record high utilization of our benefits across our entire spectrum of programs. We just saw more and more utilization. While at the same time, with the changes in the labor market, both during and after the pandemic stage of COVID-19, we were experiencing 28% employee turnover. So trying to serve more and more Missourians with a staff that had high vacancies. So ultimately, fewer staff trying to serve more people, and just a tremendous challenge. And then to compound that, this challenge really coincided with the time that the voters in our state did approve Medicaid expansion. So we were tasked with implementing expansion, which brought over 300,000 additional Missourians as eligible for our Medicaid program. And then so it became a point where we had to have open and honest communication, both with our governor's office as well as the General Assembly, about the challenges here, and really decided to rip the Band-Aid off and make those very, very candid conversations, about how we want to serve fellow citizens. I let the policymakers define the parameters of our program, but once those parameters are defined, we have to find a way to do that. And so we ripped the Band-Aid off. We had those conversations and laid things out, in very realistic terms. And fortunately, we found good partners, both in Governor Parsons' administration as well as with our General Assembly here in the state, to begin, really funding and focusing on the upgrades that we needed.
I want to ask a follow-up question to Director Evans. As I mentioned, I'm a native of Missouri, and when Medicaid expansion appeared on the ballot, I was surprised that it passed. Was this something that was surprising to you, and how does it impact the Department of Social Services?
Paula, as we're watching legislation move through the legislative session, we're always looking and planning. And as you're going through, anytime we have a vote on anything, there's always that possibility that things may pass. And so, looking and trying to look into the future, we're trying to prepare ourselves for what may be coming. But we were in the middle of a pandemic, and we've never been there before. So, not expanding the program and being in this sort of unknown world, we were in some uncharted waters of bringing on this new population. Plus, we were trying to serve more and more participants that are coming in the door because of the pandemic. As Director Nodell was talking, we were experiencing very high vacancy rates at that point. And then it's just the adjustment of how individuals wanted to contact us. There were some points where we were not able to reach individuals face to face, so we were all virtual. We were by phone, and that was a new world. So we were trying to adjust to how do participants want to work with us. And we saw very quickly that they adjusted to the web-based products that we were putting out there, using their smartphones, and also then wanting to self-serve. And then we were having to bring some of that on because the technology was not there for us to fully support participants in the way that they wanted to be supported. So, it's really been a really holistic change. And as Director Nodell says, it's a perfect storm. In the middle of a pandemic, with expanding a program and bringing in all of this new technology, just so that we could meet the needs of the participants, and then also meet the needs of our staff as they're trying to work through all of this work coming our way.
I know we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those issues in a few minutes, but before we do, moving on to our next question with our panelists, we want to ask a polling question of the audience. So the question we're asking, and if you could please vote, the question is implementing a self-service portal. Where is your agency in the journey to implementing a self-service portal? And if you could pick one and let it go ahead and submit the poll, that would be fantastic. While that polling is taking place, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. Missouri started to implement a statewide citizen engagement portal to support everything from restaurant licenses to fishing licenses to the Department of Motor Vehicles, which I'm personally excited about because going to the Department of Motor Vehicles in Missouri is always a bit of a challenge. The needs of the Social Services Department are very unique. Director Nodell, you have this great analogy that you've used to explain how this statewide portal works with Department of Social Services, and your analogy is about a house. Can you share that vision and that description of the house and how this all fits together between DSS and the needs of the state?
Sure, Paula. The way, I'm a very visual person, and love to draw pictures and think in that way. But when we consider the citizen journey, which is a whole of government, really a mission here, in our state with our 17 departments across state government, but looking at ways that we can standardize and improve that customer experience for our citizen. I view our operations here at the department as a house. And as Paula said, And, the front porch of that is really our statewide portal, that front porch that a citizen can access and will be able to access, with a single sign on. And that, from that point, that citizen, whether they're checking on the status of their income tax refund, or they're looking at hunting or fishing licenses, or perhaps looking for unemployment compensation, or the services that we offer at the department, really that statewide portal is the front porch. And as you walk through the door, the front rooms of the house, your living area and your dining room, is really the citizen portal for our department. Once you're in and interested in seeking DSS services, or seeking an update on the services that you do receive, in the front of that house is where we offer those options, and trying to do that in the most customer friendly fashion that we can. And then the back of your house, your kitchen, your utility room, your storage areas, that's really, the nuts and bolts of our system, the systems that underpin, our department, that hold our data and allow, our team members to be able to function. So, your visitors in your house may never be in your utility room, but there's very important work that goes on in that room. And so that's the way I view, the customer journey, and where we're trying to go as a state here in Missouri.
Thank you. I think that analogy helps people really understand that when you're just doing a landing page, that front porch, that you can have pretty generic technology, but as you move through that journey, when you're trying to determine eligibility, or you're trying to tell someone if they're potentially eligible, there's a lot more work that has to go on. And I think you've done a great job of highlighting that. I just want to touch on the survey that came up with my quick notes, and get a reaction from Director Evans and Director Nodell on what we're seeing here, that 49% of states have completed some or all of their citizen self-service, and then 51% between the various categories that have just started, or are planning, or haven't started at all. Do you find, and I know this was not a planned question, so I'm kind of asking you ad hoc, what's your reaction to those statistics based on what you've seen in Missouri?
My reaction would be that, we're on this journey together, and I'm not sure, obviously we have, a number of respondents that are in a state that's completed some or all of that implementation. I'm not sure that there's that much difference, though, because I don't know, the demands of customers, and the methods through which citizens want to be served, are continuing to evolve. And I don't know that we'll ever reach a point where we say we are done. We are, this is our customer service delivery model, and we're going to stand pat with that for another 30 or 40 years. I'm not sure that we ever find ourselves. Technology is evolving. You pick up a cell phone that you might have used 10 years ago, looks and works a lot differently than what we have today. The way we order pizzas, the way you schedule service for your vehicle, or things like that. Even picking up groceries, changing every day. And I think it's a journey that we're all on together.
Journey that requires flexibility, I think, of all of us. As we continue to see citizens demanding more ways to interact with the government, as technology supports new channels, as you've mentioned, we've got another survey question for the audience. And I'm not going to read this one to you. You guys can read it on your own. But how will citizens want to be served, do you believe, in the future? And just select all that apply. And we'll give you all a moment to do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and move on to, as soon as we get those results up, if you would post them, that would be great. In between times, I'm going to go ahead and go into a little bit more of Missouri's story about that back end system. So Missouri's story is very similar to so many other states out there. As Director Nodell mentioned, a legacy system that uses a lot of green screen technology to support that journey are those old eligibility systems, mainframe based, and something that's very difficult for a new caseworker to take on and embrace and understand how to use that system because it's not at all intuitive. Missouri has an advantage compared to some other states. All of the programs, for instance, SNAP, TANF, Medicaid, both Magi and non-Magi, all of those programs are sitting in one agency. And today they're running, some of them are running in an old integrated legacy system called FAMOUS. But that creates challenges in how you modernize. So I believe that you decided to modernize your system on a common platform. Director Nodell, can you talk about what using a common platform does for you with respect to integrated eligibility and why the state went this direction?
Well, there were many reasons, but it includes, Paula, the flexibility, the ability for our state to take advantage of flexibilities offered by our federal partners. We beg, and I'm speaking for Missouri and every other state and territory when we beg for additional flexibilities in terms of how we can operate these programs. But then when that dream comes true in a certain space and we actually get that flexibility, then oftentimes our systems limit our ability to even take advantage of what we've asked for, that what we've known would be helpful. So it gives us the ability to take advantage of that. It gives us the ability where it's allowed to share data between multiple benefit programs for programs to be able to communicate back and forth, and not to have to duplicate work by our team members out there having to input the same information multiple times for for the same individual who may be eligible for benefits and multiple programs. It gives us the chance to make sure that our entire staff is trained and cross-trained so that they're allowed to transition between programs as demand dictates. That we can surge. If we have a surge in demand, or we know that certain times a year enrollment in certain programs is higher, and then it begins to decline for a few months. These are cyclical processes, and a single platform allows the state to be able to surge people back and forth to be able to better meet that demand. There are certainly cost advantages as it relates to licenses and the cost to maintain these systems. Ultimately, at the end of the day, a better customer experience. And when we're able to automate and and be able to help make the workflow more technologically advanced and allow people to not have to have three different mainframe systems up and logged in on their desk at the same time and having to move back and forth with information that doesn't talk back and forth. We believe that's a retention tool for our employees. We are making their workday more simple. We are making a very diverse set of programs easier to manage, and we believe that helps us keep employees that find their work more fulfilling. As I always say, it's a novel concept, but we're trying to free up social workers to actually do social work instead of data entry.
I think the social workers love to hear that. I know when we chatted earlier and you mentioned that putting in a new system is something that you view as a recruitment tool, and we may touch on that again a little bit later, but that's a novel idea at looking at things. So many times we hear that, caseworkers have become very familiar with those legacy systems and they're not open to changing to a new system. Suddenly they love what they had before and they don't like the new. So approaching it as a retention tool is a very interesting concept. Director Evans, is there anything that you would like to add?
Paula, you bring up a really interesting fact that, as we bring on newer staff, they're really excited about the web-based. This is what this generation has grown up in. And when we show them the legacy system, we get all kinds of expressions on their face. And having to learn that green screen that we all love so much. So it is really learning with our newer staff. But, we've had to adapt our staff to the growing populations that's coming into our programs. We've equipped all of our staff with laptops to make us more mobile in the event that we would have to all go home again. Or it also makes us more mobile for us to be able to respond to natural disasters, or if there's community events. It makes us just more mobile, and rather than being restricted to those brick and mortar buildings that we're in. And so, as we're looking at our work, we're looking at a concept called first touch resolution. So we help that individual, the first person to get them takes care of everything that they need, whether you're engaging with that person over the phone, if you're engaging with that person face to face, and hopefully we will have very soon, we will have our virtual agent. So if we need to do a face to face, we can do it through a platform that would allow us, just like we're having this meeting with Zoom today, to be able to reach out to our participants and have the face to face. We work in a statewide caseload, so it's a little bit different than a lot of folks. We've shifted from a worker-based, county-based model to a statewide, and that has helped staff morale so much, because if you think about it, when you go on vacation, you come back, your desk would be full, your voicemail would be full, your emails would be full, and it was just like, was the vacation worth it? By doing a statewide caseload, no matter where the participant walks in the door, someone can help them. And so I don't have to be in my county, and I don't have to wait for my worker. Anyone across the state could help them. And it has really been a positive for our staff and a positive for the participants, because we can serve individuals better. No matter where you're at, we'll be able to serve you. And to do that, we've had to implement some things like a tasking system, so that we can task the work out, so the staff are able to get, knows exactly based on their skill level. They know what work that they'll be working. And that has helped with retention also, because as we train these folks and we are, they're getting their experience and building their knowledge, then we grow on those job skills, and then they pick up more and more work. So it's really been a fun process to watch, and to watch this grow into something more. And we're not through. So we always like to keep looking forward, and that's what we'll be doing.
Excellent. One of the things that comes to mind is a lot of folks have talked about no wrong door for a very long time. And Missouri's implemented a no wrong door approach, which is thrilling to hear, especially as a citizen of this state. And the same thing for a statewide caseload concept. So many today are still struggling with, it's got to be, housed in a particular county, and they can't share the information across the state. So one of the things that, if you would like to take a look at the results of our poll, you see how citizens want to be served, and we're seeing various things about more diverse communication tools. It's very interesting, especially when it comes to the last one that was ranked as advanced data management and security, that's one of the lowest ranked items. So, Director Evans, I know we had chatted a little bit earlier about ways that the portal is supporting citizens in the state. Which ways do you find from that particular poll are most common in Missouri?
So we're seeing really that self-serve, and they do want to get messages on their text, reminders. Everyone's busy. There's a busy life that they have, and it's hard to really keep up with all the deadlines that they have, especially with the different programs. So those reminders, so that they're not missing those important dates that they need to have. The ability to chat, we've really seen our chat room really grow, and folks really like that. For our folks who only have a 15-minute break or maybe a 30-minute lunch, I can jump on chat very quickly and take care of what I need without having to get on a phone and a lot of people like the information they receive on the IVRs. So as I get on, I can hear my information through the IVR. But I also think our participants are learning how to use this information and really not rely on someone sitting across from them face to face. The private sector world has pushed us this way because, as Director Nodell talked about earlier, is ordering your groceries, ordering pizzas. Now the expectation has come to state government, and we want you to service us in the same way.
Gives a new meaning to ordering your SNAP benefit, but
Yeah.
yeah, a different way to apply. Let's switch over and talk a little bit about the public health emergency. So Director Nodell, how's Missouri been faring? And I know you've been pretty happy with the response, kind of setting you up when we first met in May. What do you contribute to your success, and has that success continued?
Well, we are, again, I would describe, we're not in a place to spike any footballs for sure. This is a process that is continuing. We're still, relatively early in the process of redeterminations, but we started the planning process here in the state very early. Obviously, there was a great period of ambiguity from our federal partners in terms of when the PHE would end, and so there were many times that we thought we were tiptoeing up to the starting line, and turns out the race was postponed. So we had to be ready to begin this process early. We knew there would be a very short runway of time from when we were notified of a formal date that it would end and the redeterminations would begin. So we had to begin making our way through that process. And one of the keys that that we wanted to be able to do, which really had not been a significant component of our previous redetermination efforts, was really to be able to use electronic sources, to increase the number of ex parte renewals, because every one of those determinations that we're able to make through that ex parte process is reduces the manual burden on our employees. And so using technology, using electronic sources, and being able to increase the functionality of our eligibility system to with increased communications with the federal hub has really helped us. And so we've seen minor challenges along the way, like every other state, but we haven't encountered very many major unforeseen challenges thus far. And I will look for a piece of Missouri lumber to knock on, as I say that. But what we're seeing here in the state is in line with our projections at the beginning of this process.
That is excellent news. I know so many states are still struggling, especially when you get to the areas of ex parte. Kim, I know that with any systems implementation, there are pressures and there's challenges and there's workforce challenges. And we talked a little bit about it earlier, that there's sometimes resistance to taking on new technology. So what's been your secret to working with the caseworkers and helping them accept a new system, and then taking the feedback and including enhancements in that new system?
Oh, I don't know if there's any secret sauce to this, but it's really just getting out in front of your staff. What I have found in my years, and even in the years that I was working in the field, I always appreciated when I knew what was coming. So I've always tried to really work on this, that we're in front of the staff, letting them know what to expect, what is coming. Open, honest conversation. Director Nodell, I appreciate this about him, and I've modeled this also, is that we have a very open door policy. And so that staff, if they're questioning something that, it's making them feel uncomfortable, they can email us and we will respond. And staff know that if I have more questions, I usually pick up the phone and call them, because email will not get through all of my questions. So, but I want to better understand what are they experiencing and what prompted this individual to reach out to me with the concerns. Director Nodell and I both have town halls for our staff. So we have open town halls where we're letting staff know what's coming in the future, what's going on, with legislation, and then also giving them the opportunity to ask their questions. And then I just think that open door policy, you can't go wrong with that. And you may not know all the answers, but at least you're giving them, letting them know that they have been heard.
Well, and I think that's critical, that staff does need to know it's being heard. The 28% turnover number, has that number slowed, or are you still seeing about the same level as what we experienced during the height of the pandemic?
We've seen a decrease. We've seen a decrease in the turnover rate. We're reducing the number of vacancies in our department. We've increased the total number of employees in the last couple of years by approximately 600 employees, across the department. So, we're finding fewer people that are having to carry the cases and, do the work of multiple people or a person and a half. And, as we're able to get back to full strength, it does give our team members a sense of light at the end of the tunnel and perhaps a little bit of wind at their back.
Which is important. I know you've got a new implementation for SNAP that's due to go live in the spring. So, Director Evans, how has that communication about the new system been with the staff and in getting them ready for that go live?
I think it's so important, like I said, to really get out in front of this. So talking early about where we are with the development, where we are in the timeline of piloting this new system. We'll start giving screenshots as we can to start to familiarize them with what it's going to look like, because it is going to be a little bit different between SNAP and the Magi population. But just getting them familiar and talking about it and putting it in front of them really lets them start to ask those questions beforehand. It takes a little bit of that fear away. We've also gone through a revamp of our training. We've listened to our staff. We've listened to our new staff onboarding that says they would really like to see something different in training. So we've really gone to moving towards a self-directed training with milestones, and staff have been really receptive to that. So we'll be tying all of this new program and new system training into our new training process. And like I said, just staying out in front of the staff really helped.
Yeah, Kim, I wanted to follow up on that a little bit. Can you talk in a little bit more in depth about that revamped training process? I know you've talked about milestones, and I think you've moved away from classroom training, but you'd mentioned some other things in a previous conversation that I think would be interesting for the audience to hear.
Sure, we're using a concept of a supervisor trainer. So this trainer has new staff assigned to them. So Paula, if you were hired in 3 weeks ago, you would do all your state paperwork, and then you would start your self-directed training. And then maybe I come in 2 weeks later and I do the same. We both have milestones to meet, but there are some staff who pick this work up very quickly. And so they can move through the milestones and meet the requirements and can move on and ready to move what we call to the floor, or actually the actual processing. While other staff who are very thoughtful, and it just takes just a moment more for them to grasp some of these concepts, but with a trainer that works right there directly with them in their office, then we're able to be, we hope we see a higher success rate of individuals just not saying this job's not for me. Really investing in those new staff right off the bat, and helping them move towards, working in that live processing. Our on-the-job training is, instead of, I call them the vanilla cases, where everyone brings in everything and the life is wonderful. Yep. We throw them right in and they start, their on-the-job training work is actually live work. So they're helping their team members while they're in training. It's making them feel more productive and part of the team by doing the on-the-job training. This also allows, if you have an experienced staff that's struggling with a new concept, or maybe just, it happens all the time. Someone just gets out, gets in the wrong direction and you have to correct, they can come into this training unit and let that training supervisor work with them one-on-one and really get them back on track, get them going again, and really reinvesting in our staff to say, hey, you matter to us. We really want to make you successful. And that is our whole goal, is to make them successful, make them feel like that we are investing in them and they're an important part of what we do every day.
Thank you. I know when you talked about it before, it was a little different approach than what we see in a lot of different states and jurisdictions on how they train staff. And I'm hoping it's going to be highly successful. Director Nodell, is there anything you wanted to add to that training discussion?
No, I mean, the sort of the imperative that that Director Evans and I have, have tried to impart, in the training process is we want, people come to work for us because they want to serve their fellow citizens. So, as quickly as we can empower that individual to effectively be able to perform those customer service functions, I don't want anybody to hurry up and wait. We have too much customer demand to allow that to happen. So, we've continued to impart to our team, let's continue the strategies to take the training wheels off, as quickly as we can so that that individual can be effective. If it takes a little longer, it takes a little longer. But I don't want to take it a minute longer than what the individual needs so that they can accomplish what they wanted to do when they accepted a position with us, which is to serve our fellow citizens.
So we're reaching the end of our time, and we've got a couple of different wrap-up areas. So first, I'll let either Director Nodell or Director Evans arm wrestle for this one. I know Missouri has had some impressive results based on your modernization efforts. So I'll let you two decide who gets to share the good news.
Well, I believe that Kim and her team are, they are absolute miracle workers. I see that every day. So I'm gonna defer to Director Evans here.
Well, thank you, Director Nodell, and I wish I had batteries for my magic wand to have some other areas to work on too. But kudos to our staff. They are probably some of the most resilient, flexible staff that I've ever worked with, and they always respond. And some of the results that we've seen is we've been able to see a 50% reduction in our call center wait times. This is due to the statewide caseload and us having a phone system where all of our benefit technicians have the ability to get on the phones and at any point in time us pull them to the phones. And so, now we're learning to ride those ebbs and flows. So you will always have a time when you may have more calls than others, and it's learning how to manage that. We've processed almost 600,000 SNAP applications in 1 year, and we're reducing the average Medicaid processing times from 106 days to 15 days. And what does that bring us? That brings us that increased customer satisfaction. And I love to see the positive comments that are coming from our customers about our staff, about them being caring, about them taking time with them, and really servicing them and understanding what were the next steps once they leave our staff. So, I will always glow about my staff because I just think they do a fantastic job and work hard every day.
And as I said, as a native, yes, they do. So, Director Nodell, what's next for Missouri in your modernization journey?
Well, we're continuing to to really emphasize and accelerate, our conversations with our federal partners, about those boundaries, about the program guidelines and seeking, flexibility for what have historically been very distinct and very siloed federal benefit programs, separate, to be able to break down some of those barriers and to continue to get flexibility that hasn't always been there, to allow us to, to administer benefits, in a more efficient manner. So, those conversations, we are, stepping up on a number of fronts, trying to, trying to undertake pilot projects. And, we're more than willing to be a laboratory, to see if greater flexibility ultimately results in a better experience. We want to continue to innovate and communicate, with our customers in terms of how they want to be served. This is very much a journey and not a destination. And if you take one thing away, from this conversation, it's not, hey, we figured this out, because we haven't. But we are on a journey that we are very happy to be on, and it's been a very positive journey for us. But there are, miles ahead that, we want to continue to evolve and innovate in that customer experience. And then, we're looking in, we're taking as many states, a very close look at artificial intelligence and those bot capabilities and processes that can be automated in an acceptable and ethical manner, to be able to use AI, to give customers a greater opportunity to self-serve, to automate workflow processes for our team members, and trying to look at what we're going to be able to do around the corner, so that we're ready and that we can marshal, the investments and the momentum, to be able to continue to evolve as our customer expectations evolve.
Thank you. We've got a number of questions. So if you all would like to bring up the questions, and I think I can direct who would answer some of these questions. So the first one is, does this system process SNAP applications? If so, what challenges did Missouri experience? I believe you're due to go live in the springtime on SNAP with the new system, correct?
That is correct. So we will pilot that for 3 months and then full state implementation after that.
Okay. The next one is from Darlene Bragg. Hi, Darlene. Do you have a way for your non-technical clients to access services if they don't want or can't use this system?
So what we have available to individuals, we still have resource centers. So that is a brick and mortar where individuals can walk in. We have staff that are there to service them face to face, and the same concept of first touch resolution, where we will help that individual with whatever they need help with right there. We are looking at some more additional outreach opportunities where we get out of our brick and mortar and really reach out to some other communities. We do have a resource center in every county, but in some areas, transportation is difficult. And so we're looking at how do we reach out to those individuals and service them where they may not easily be able to come in and see us face to face. Maybe where they have cell phone issues, broadband issues that doesn't allow them to be able to use a smartphone or a computer.
Okay. Thank you. The next question on statewide caseload, APHSA, I'm going to refer that over to you because I'm pretty sure that Missouri wouldn't have the answer for that. Next question is, how many users do you have on the system?
We have approximately 1,200.
Okay. And then the self-service portal, does it include SNAP, TANF, and Medicaid? Or I'll add to that, if it doesn't, I think that's in the plans. So, Kim?
Oh, you are correct that SNAP and temporary assistance is in the plans. Medicaid is there today.
Okay.
And there's a lot of functionality within that.
But Paula, we decided to lead with Medicaid because
Right.
of the PHE unwinding and, understanding that surge in demand and, just a lot of questions. But we're also, this is phase 1, and we're very excited about phase 2 to come.
Okay. The next one, pretty sure I know the answer to this one living in Missouri, but are the caseworkers union yet represented? Director Nodell?
Yeah, no, we do have a very small amount of representation in the department, but for the most part, our workforce is not unionized.
Okay. And what languages is the front end available in today? So statewide portal and then the Medicaid portal.
So the exciting thing is we're flexible enough that individuals can choose their language. They have that option as they're signing in to be able to choose the language they would like to see the portal displayed.
And from Anna Hall, where can I find more information about this self-directed training model?
And if you'd like to email me, that would be great. As far as I know, there's not a model out there. It was something that we worked through, and I'd be glad to talk you through that.
Thank you, Kim. And then finally, what's the probationary period for a new hire?
So we have a 1-year probationary period for our new hired staff.
Okay. And then I think I missed one. What additional value-added services are you able to offer with the efficiency of technology in the case processing effort? And this is from Gloria Brown Burnett.
So some of the things that we have implemented that are helping us with our processing pieces is we have really invested in our electronic verification. So, you know, we have working with a system right now that bundles all of our outside electronic verification, and then also looks inside of what Missouri has available to them. Our SNAP program, we're working with Department of Labor. We'll be working with Department of Revenue to gather all of that information, including the federal hub. And it brings it back, and I tell the staff, brings it back in your nice little package so that it's there for staff to be able to work, and hopefully it's going to keep increasing the processing time we have, but it also takes the burden off the participant from having to return the information to us.
And then there's one more that popped up, and then I will pass it over to Marina to close us. Did you utilize any human-centered design practices by engaging the voice of the user's clients in the design and development of the system? So I'm going to take that from a product perspective first and then hand it over to the state. So Currum by Meritive, our citizen engagement portal that the state of Missouri is built on top of, absolutely used human-centered design practices and worked with the citizens to design that particular product. So that's it from the product that Missouri is based on perspective. And I'll hand it over to you, Kim, to add anything else to it.
And Paula, we add a little bit more to that. So we have a team that is out surveying our participants in our resource centers and also by phone. And we're really listening to what their needs are and, you know, what would they like to see from us, and trying to build upon that.
All right.
You know, and even beyond that, Paula, if we go back to the front porch of the house that you and I talked about earlier, you know, the state, you know, state government more broadly here in Missouri has invested a tremendous amount in citizen journey mapping throughout you know, throughout the entire process. And you know, the worst thing that we could do is get a group of people in a conference room in Jeff City, which is our state capital, and decide how we're going to serve customers. So it has been, you know, a citizen journey driven process, really. You know, when you go all the way, you know, from the front porch to to that as you approach the backbone of our system.
I'll turn it over to Marina, but I'd like to extend a personal thank you to Director Nodell and Director Evans for agreeing to participate in this webinar. It's great to hear my state talk about their journey, because we're frequently the one that everybody flies over. So with that, I'll turn it over to Marina.
Thank you, Paula, and thank you to everybody, also to the audience, for those great questions. I think I learned even more about what's going on in Missouri than I knew before. I think what struck me today from our conversation is that there are clearly two sides to service delivery. The one who is served and the one doing the serving. And although modernization journeys may start with one or the other, they both really need to be addressed, as Missouri is doing, to achieve better outcomes. Just a couple of highlights. There was a lot of interest on the training approach. I think that open and honest two-way communication, as well as that on-the-job training at an individual's pace, there's a lot of interest there, and that was quite innovative, I think. The perfect storm that you spoke about, I know that was a big challenge, but probably the way people now want to interact with government online using smartphones, self-service is probably a blessing. And where technology has really been able to move the needle, not only with the citizens, but also with your caseworkers who were virtual during this time. And finally, just about the platform, sort of the flexibility that's providing you, the data sharing opportunities and that cross-training capabilities are really assisting you with not only caseworker retention, as you said, the new system as a recruitment tool, but also improving customer experience. So thank you, Directors Nodell and Evans, for sharing with us today. The modernization journey never ends. We've heard that from a number of folks. Technology is continuously evolving, and we're delighted to be on this journey with you. And thank you again to the audience for your great questions. If you do have further questions, please feel free to contact us on the screen there at our website, or email us at marketinginfo@meritive.com. We were delighted to be here with you, and have a wonderful day.